You're an undersized linebacker. If you look at your size, you're 6'2", on file right now at Pro Football Reference, you're 215 pounds. You're considered, what's your weight right now?
I'm much heavier than that, non-disclosed. I kind of like the 250. I'm up there close to 235.
That's how much I weigh right now, but I'm not 6'2". Yeah, I do work out.
215 because I think I sneak up on people from their scouting reports. I had to learn how to move with the added weight. I think it was rookie year, that preseason, I hurt my foot during mandatory minicamp, and then I just stayed in Atlanta for a month before we had to report back for preseason. I just had to lift. I might have biked some, but I couldn't put any weight on my toe for real without a little splint. I gained a lot of good weight there. Then next offseason, I cut some of that weight to gain better weight for the next season. I was able to keep my weight up above 230 because 215 would be tough in this league. I'll tell you that.
I know a lot of ex-Jets that played safety. They drafted him as a safety. I'm not going to mention names, but he played for Ohio State. They brought him in. He was a safety. They moved him to the linebacker position, and they tried to get him to gain like 20 pounds. It wasn't working. The heavier he got, the slower he got. To move up from you were 6'2", 215 to get to 230 and lead the league in tackles and be fast in the middle and be one of the leaders on that defense, it was unbelievable. You should be very proud of yourself, especially the way the Jacksonville Jaguars defense played throughout the second half of the season.
Much appreciated. Thank you for that.
It's funny you actually mentioned the misjudgment of their weight by Pro Football Reference. I think two of your Falcons teammates, too. Devondre Campbell and Deion Jones were both listed as 215, too, on their site.
So we can blame Atlanta.
They're trying to throw you under the bus.
I remember playing Madden franchise mode like 2016. They were both listed as 230. These sites list them at 215, 220. Which weight are you going to get with that? What were your favorite individual plays of the season? Also your favorite team moments outside of that playoff game?
The Chargers win was up there. The Tennessee win is up there. But that win against Dallas that went into overtime, we got that pick six. That was probably my favorite team moment. That was crazy. It was a must-win game for us. We didn't know it was must-win at the time, but it was must-win. All those games going down the stretch, we had to win them. Otherwise, we wasn't going to get in the playoffs. And Tennessee magically kept losing. It was definitely a cool experience. Favorite individual plays? The little kicked fumble that I had was fun this year. I went for the first strip. I missed it because he back juked me, and I was just trying to hold on to something. I felt as I flipped over, I was about to grab onto his ankle. Something hit my heel, and I look up, and the ball's in the air. So I was like, what? It was against the Jets. I can tell you're a Jets fan. Talking about
yes, I am.
I was already having a good game that game. Yeah, that was just icing on the cake right there.
Well, I'm sure it was.
Errol was hyperventilating all night. We were on air during that game.
As soon as Speedy told me you were coming on the show, I remember that game, and I remember how well you played in that game. I was so upset after you guys beat us. But you had a really good game.
My favorite linebacker coach at the time, now I got a good one here in Jacksonville, Tony Gilbert, but Jeff Obert, he's the defensive coordinator there, so we had a good catching up. But I didn't want to play bad in front of him for sure. He's the one who taught me a lot of the things that I use today. So I didn't want to go out there and not play well while he's watching me from the other sideline.
We are talking to Jacksonville Jaguars linebacker Foye Oluokun. You have a player that's going to be joining your team this year. He was traded at the trade deadline last year. Calvin Ridley. He's a fantastic player. You know him very well. He played in Atlanta. With what Christian Kirk put up, the numbers he put up this year, a lot of people were taking shots at the Jaguars for paying him as much as they did. Nobody thought he was the number one wide receiver, but he proved everybody wrong. Arizona made a big mistake not bringing him back, and now you have two legitimate wide receivers on your roster. What do you think this offense could be this year with those two weapons?
We got even more than that. We got Evan, we got Travis, we got Zay Jones. It's just so fast. It was fast last year before Calvin came. I just remember telling my boy Isaiah Oliver, who's with the 49ers now, like these boys in Jacksonville, they be running. They just keep running. Like the play goes on, they just take off and they're gone. But it's definitely exciting being able to have so many options on offense. Praying everybody stays healthy. Praying everybody has a great year. It could definitely be dangerous because you really have to guard everybody on the offense. And I know Coach Peterson, the whole offensive staff will definitely draw up some good things as they did last year and definitely utilize every weapon week to week, have favorable matchups, and whichever one wants to get utilized, they'll do. My job is to get the ball back to them and watch them work, give them more possessions in the game because with all this talent, they can't do nothing unless they're on the field. So get them the ball and watch them work and hopefully score a lot of touchdowns. I'm definitely excited to see it.
A player that played here in New York that one of the teams just parted ways with pretty much just said sayonara, had his best season as an NFL player. A player that became a big weapon for your team. Evan Ingram had a fantastic season. Tell us a little bit about him. What was it like playing with him on the roster with the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Yeah, so a lot of the guys that we brought in that year, a lot of our free agents, I remember first day of free agency, like 5 of us signed. We all came in on the same little trip to sign our little contract. We're all sitting in the SUV to go from our physical to our contract signing. I realized we all had stuff still left to prove. Christian Kirk, people saying that he wasn't worth the money. Evan Ingram was going to come in on a 1-year deal. Things didn't go the way he wanted in New York.